Okay, so Troy, I think we'll go ahead and get started. People are starting to come in from the lobby, and I'll continue to let them in as they're coming in. And I just want to let everyone know that this workshop is being recorded for quality assurance and redistribution purposes. Um, and you can feel free to let us know if you're not okay with that, and we will respond to you. So just to kind of introduce myself, welcome everyone. I'm glad that you were all able to make it on a Saturday afternoon. My name is Faze, and I'm a marketing person for Skillspire. If you've been coming in through the meetup group, I've been the one posting the messages and organizing the event, so you would have been communicating back and forth with me. And I usually kind of take control of these workshops, and I'm really happy today to have one of our newest instructors, Troy, and he's just about to start his first cohort with us, and it's really exciting to have him here with us today. So I'll go ahead and let Troy introduce himself, and then we'll do a quick introduction with the people here, just to kind of get acquainted. You guys can introduce yourselves, just give your names, the reason why you wanted to attend this workshop, and what field in tech kind of interests you, whether it's cybersecurity, whether it's web development, data analytics, whatever it might be, software engineering, and then, sorry, I think someone in. And then we can go from there, just to kind of get everyone engaged, interacting. We'll do that quick introduction, and then after that, we'll give it to Troy, and he'll go through his presentation, his Q&A, all that stuff. So I'll let Troy introduce himself right now.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Troy Acevedo. I am a cybersecurity architect, also a managing consultant. I've been in the field now for, oh goodness gracious, going on 20 years. So I first got my foray into cyber back in 1987 when I was just a little guy, and I got myself into trouble by thinking that I should be able to access the public library and it didn't matter what the rules said. So it's been in that foray for a very long time. Spent a lot of time going all across the world doing this. So I'm really looking forward to having this chat with y'all today. We'll kind of go through a brief presentation that I did up, and then hopefully we'll have plenty of time for Q&A in there. I really like to get interactive with people. So hopefully you guys will have some good questions.
Awesome. Thanks, Troy. So yeah, if everyone could just, real quickly, just give a quick introduction about yourselves, just your name. You don't have to turn on your camera or anything like that. Just unmute your mic, just your name, why you wanted to attend the cybersecurity workshop, what interests you in tech, and, kind of what your future plans are, whether it's getting into tech or whether you're just here out of curiosity, things like that. So whoever wants to go first, feel free to unmute and go ahead.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, my name is Obadiah Israel. I got in. I'm interested in the cybersecurity. I've been into IT like my entire life, but I've always procrastinated on actually going to school or doing any kind of training. Or sometimes I didn't have the money to do like the certs and stuff like that. But now I'm starting to get into it. I seen that like at work and like different programs that I've been getting involved in. I see that the cybersecurity field is only going to continue to keep growing. I wanted to stop procrastinating and actually start putting some of my skills into action. And I'm trying to get into a new career, like start a new career path. And then I seen this workshop when I was on Google and actually seen Skillspire. Then I seen this the workshop pop up, and then I was like, you know what? Let me just jump in there. But yeah, I'm Obadiah Israel.
Cool, cool. Nice to meet you. And you said Google, so I'm assuming, did you see the meetup? I'm sorry, the Google My Business post?
Yes, I seen the meetup on Google.
Okay.
I think it was Google, and then I did the application online on Skillspire, and then I think the meetup popped up there. I'm not sure how I got there, but I seen it and I just jumped on.
Cool, cool. Well, I'm glad to have you. I'm sorry, how do you pronounce your name again?
Obadiah.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Great to have you. Thanks for the introduction as well. That's usually the reason why most people join our workshops is, they kind of want to explore the field that we're having the workshop about and see if it's, how it fits in for them. So that's great. Who would like to go next? Quick introduction for anyone who just joined us. We're just going around with everyone, just doing a quick introduction with your name, why you wanted to attend, why you wanted to join us for this workshop today, and what interests you about tech. So whoever wants to go next, feel free.
Okay, I'll go next. My name is Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. My name is Roa Youssef, and I'm currently in the public health field, and I've been in the public health field since I graduated college, and which has been about 5 years. Um, just being in the field, I'm looking into changing careers. So I had a friend who kind of introduced me to like cybersecurity because she went into it after graduating as well. She doesn't have like a tech background, or like computer science background. So she's like, yeah, I'll look into it. So I started looking into it probably like at the beginning of this year and just like kind of doing some research and stuff. Haven't officially made any moves into like taking any courses or anything, but I just been kind of mentally just thinking about it. So I thought this workshop would be like really good to just kind of um, give me more info to help me decide if this is the field I am interested in. It is a bit intimidating getting into the tech world if you don't have like, I guess, like a computer science background. But anyway, I thought this would be like really good at least. Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Great to have you here. I think have you been a part of our newsletter for a few months now, I think?
Yeah, I have. I spoke to Yasmin a while back. I don't know when. And then and then they sent me an email about this. I was like, okay, let me see what it's about. But yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, great to have you here. Okay, who would like to go next?
I guess I can go next.
Is this Joseph?
Yes, my name is Joseph. I guess right now I'm a computer engineering student at the University of Washington, Tacoma, and I want to learn more about cybersecurity or about more about the security aspect of things. So, well, I do know how to program. I don't know much about things like exploits and that kind of thing. That kind of thing that would make or that would that understanding would help make my anything I design a little bit more safe. And two, I kind of want to go to DEF CON next year and see what that's like.
Okay, cool. Thanks for introducing yourself, Joseph. Okay, who would like to go next? Okay. Carmen, would you like to go next?
Hi. I just got on. I'm sorry. What was the question?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about that. So, yeah, we're just doing quick introductions for all of us. Just Just name and then like, what interests you about the workshop, why you wanted to join us today, and kind of like what interests you about tech, what your plans are for the future, kind of things like that.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I got on to hear like the last two introductions. I just wanted to make sure I was answering the
Sure.
question. So my name's Carmen Simmons. My background is in networking and satellite communications. I'm active duty Army. I've been doing networking and satellite communications for the past 10 years. I'm actually transitioning out into the civilian sector at the end of this year. So my goals are to basically expand my experiences, just learn something new. I am finishing my degree in cybersecurity with a focus on cloud security. So I'll be done with that degree hopefully by springtime next year. And also I want to complete my CISSP by then too.
Okay, awesome. Great to have you here. Just to let you know, Troy, our instructor, is also a veteran, so I'm sure he's also glad.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, who would like to go next? Sman, S-M-A-N, would you like to go next?
Hi, I'm software developer, working as a software developer. Just came here to see what I could learn more about cybersecurity, as it seemed to be an intriguing subject. Been working with Java and C Sharp for last couple of years. Yeah, that's it from my side. Thank you.
Cool, awesome, thank you. Okay, I think, Lynn, would you like to go next?
Hi, I'm Lynn. I was in tech for a number of years, but then I had some family issues and had to drop out, but I want to come back and I noticed how much everything has changed. It doesn't take long, 2 to 3 years, it seems like. Um, and then I'm more interested in web development. That's what I did before. But cybersecurity is still very interesting. And I've been playing around with Wireshark, so I wanted to hear some more stuff.
Okay, cool. And Lynn, I've seen you before at your workshops, is that correct?
Yeah, I went to your other one. It was intriguing. I liked it.
Okay, cool, awesome, great to have you again. Okay, I think we have one more. Nope, I think that's it. Okay, so thank you everyone very much for introducing yourselves. It was great to learn a bit more about yourselves and to kind of get acquainted so that we can kind of engage now and ask more questions. Feel free whenever the workshop, whenever Troy is presenting, you can always feel free to unmute your mic, raise your hand, and ask questions in the middle of the presentation. That's our goal, is to kind of get you guys acquainted with the field, and we're all friends here. You don't need to wait until the end. You can ask whatever you want. And so I'll let Troy take over now. He'll go through everything, the presentation, the Q&A, all that. And before I let him do that, everyone please feel free to enter your email into the chat feed if you'd like to be part of our newsletter. And you can unsubscribe anytime if you don't want to be a part of it. So no worries, no spam, nothing like that, just for a newsletter. And so Troy, I'll let you go ahead and take it from here.
Well, thank you very much. I just want to say it's great to have everybody here. I really like the introductions there. Everybody provided a lot of good information. So I really hope during the course of the presentation and or during the Q&A session, I'd really like to circle back on a couple of things that people were saying. There's some very interesting points in there. And hopefully we can sit there and give everybody a good sense and a good comfort on the way things are going, especially in the direction of cybersecurity. So let me go ahead and get this put out there. Okay, can everybody see the PowerPoint?
I can see it, yep.
All right, spectacular.
Yes.
So let's go ahead and go into this part a little bit. It's interesting when the title can kind of stir some thought. At least that's what I was hoping to do. Uh, Anybody that's been in the industry for the longest time, especially like let's go with some age brackets. Okay, I'm 42, and I look at the way things have changed over the years, and it's mind-boggling, right? It's things went from being almost a sense of chaos, right? Uh, to now we're trying to steer towards organization and usability and things like that. However, with these technological advances at the same time, there's prices to pay. Nothing comes without a cost. So in today's day and age, we have the digital war zone, cybersecurity and cybercrime. It's the hot topics. It's what's going on right now, and especially with the way that things have kind of just pulled and drawn into everyday life. I just moved back to the U.S. I've been overseas for 12 years, and seeing certain things like my house, for example. It's a smart house. It has all these fancy integrated features. I spent days digging into every single aspect of this network, the way it runs, the communication protocols, because I wanted to know what was out there. So that's what we were kind of talking about. Is what I like to call the new battlefield. I can remember countless stories growing up. My grandfather, he was in the Korean War and all that good stuff, and I hear all of his in-depth and deep stories about how that played out. Myself, I was in the United States Marine Corps, spent a lot of time overseas, Iraq, Afghanistan, Qatar, all kinds of places, seeing the way things move and change and evolve. And the funny thing is we're moving forward, as society is doing these big changes and these leaps and bounds. I guess the best way to put it is I like to think that those dynamics are changing. The new area of confrontation, the new area of risk, that new battlefield is cyberspace. That is where everything takes place. All of your money that moves back and forth in your bank account, that's a series of ones and zeros. All you got to do is turn it off and turn it on. And next thing you know, you go from having $10,000 in the bank to zero. Those are the things that cyber criminals like to exploit. The information, the data, the availability. So let's move on to the field of cybersecurity in and of itself. And this is where I'd like to kind of pose it all to y'all is, in your opinion, what do you think cybersecurity truly is? Okay, let's kind of go into this a little bit. You'll see here on the slide, I put the nice cut and dry information, right? According to Merriam-Webster, straight out of the dictionary, cybersecurity is measures taken to protect a computer or computer system, as on the internet, against unauthorized access or attack. I don't know about y'all, but that seems a little bit dry, doesn't it? I don't think it really captures the essence of what cybersecurity really is. Cyber is a living, breathing thing. It changes, it adapts, it evolves. So that's where I like to put down here what it really is. If you want to get into the field of cybersecurity, it's a dedication to a way of life, a code of ethics, a set of moral practices and principles. Just how a doctor, when they graduate medical school, has the Hippocratic Oath. As a cyber professional, you're going to have something similar, an unspoken code. And really, as a cyber pro, your job is to do no harm and ensure no harm. And a lot of people sit there and think, if you take it in context of like pen testing, everybody loves pen testing these days. You see the fancy stuff on the movies and TV shows like NCIS, where they show all the nice little flashy parts. And it makes me chuckle. I really enjoy that part because I wish that pen testing and ethical hacking was nice and flashy like that. It's really not. It's a lot of code. It's a lot of standing there in front of the terminal, pouring through different directories and command lines and trying to get that sense of what's going on and moving about. But at the end of the day, what you really get is you have that sense of fulfillment. When you're safeguarding the systems and the networks that ensure our everyday life operates in a smooth and efficient manner, I mean, I've never slept so good in my entire life. This was really that change, that catalyst. And the last part, I like to sit there and say that cyber is really a lifelong process of growing, developing, learning, nurturing those skills. At the end of the day, knowledge is going to be that ultimate tool that's needed within the cyber war zone, that cyber battlefield. So I never like to mince words. If you get into cyber, it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, you can just take one cert and you're good, or, even a couple or a boot camp. It's going to be this continual practice, and it'll become something you almost live and breathe every single day. Do y'all remember Alice in Wonderland growing up? Whether it's the book or the cartoon or anything like that, where it talks about, the rabbit hole. Once you go down the cybersecurity rabbit hole, there's no coming back. You will start looking and thinking of everything in a different perspective. And it's something that's truly spectacular. While it can cause you countless hours of not sleeping too well, it really helps get you that educational background, that knowledge that you need to succeed, whether it's you're in the career field or if you just want to keep yourself, your family, that kind of stuff. Let's go on to cybercrime.
Oh, sorry, Troy. So Joseph, when you had asked what cybersecurity is, Joseph said preventing people you work with from opening strange links.
That's actually, thank you very much for bringing that up. That's great. So that is an element of cybersecurity, right? That right there is called insider threat. And if you look at the general, there's a bunch of different areas of cybersecurity. We could spend days, weeks, months delving into the different sections of different areas. But in a position like insider threat, it's almost one of the most dangerous parts out there. Because here you have, like, let's call it employee X. They just started working at Google or something of the sorts. Well, once they are in that organization, they have access, availability, things like maybe you're an entry-level administrator. If you don't properly manage those permissions, those job roles, those access requirements, it leaves your network, your systems completely wide open. And of course, if you hired this individual to work for you, for example, of course you want to trust them. The biggest thing in regards to insider threat is, you always lock your doors. Why do you always lock your doors? To keep your neighbors honest. It's better to be safe than sorry. So even though you want to trust these individuals, you have to be vigilant. You have to keep an eye on it. That was a great question, by the way. Thank you very much. So in regards to cybercrime, it is the fastest growing criminal market in the entire world. Again, you roll back the clock and you look at things like, white collar crime, burglary, breaking and entering, things like that. Those were what you typically had to worry about. And then as things started progressing, right, like identity theft got real big, when you're talking about bank accounts, credit card numbers, even real estate, people started going at that. Now that we are digitizing everything, every aspect of life, it can all be put into those same ones and zeros we talked about earlier. Of course, the criminal element is going to want to exploit that. So if you can see by the chart here, I just kind of pulled up a basic one that gave a good idea of the numbers. Cybercrime is causing more and more damage every single year. And that's not just to businesses, that's to individuals as well. If this chart would have rolled back to like the early 2000s, you'd probably be seeing a flat line, nothing but zeros. And every time you're turning on the news, you're seeing about some new cyber attack that's happened. Or maybe you're sitting there hopping into your Yahoo and you just got an email from Equifax saying, oh, we're sorry, we just had another breach. It's very important to know that you need to be vigilant and maintain your posture, because the cyber criminals, they are working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to find ways to exploit, manipulate, and control that data. Another good point, like I make in the last bullet, as our technology becomes more advanced, so do the different attack vectors that these cyber criminals are using. You know, like I said, I like to highlight back in 1987 when I had my little accidental foray into the public library. Back then, it was one of those simple things. Everything was like basic brute force attacks. I tried some different passwords, and it turns out the password at that time was books. Congratulations, I now have full access to the public library. Now it's people know, use strong passwords. Don't use passwords like love or mom or things like that. These attack vectors, like look at phishing and whaling and these other efforts to manipulate. These data breaches, when cyber criminals are sitting there, like say they pull a database out of Equifax. So they're getting your name, address, email, phone number. Those data points are really important for them. Once they have their email, the next thing you know, they could sit there and send you an email. Maybe they figure out that you bank at, US West. Okay. They forge an email. Next thing you know, that's a phishing attack. Oh, please click this link to change your password. All of a sudden, now they have your username, your password, they've got your account. So it's important to look at those concepts and those progressive charts as the way things move forward, but also never forget, don't avoid the simple. I've made some mistakes in the past where, overlooking the simple stuff comes up and catches you. So this is what I thought was kind of important to highlight, about the cybersecurity and cybercrime field, right? Is some of the most famous cyber attacks that have gone on. And if you look over the list, maybe you've heard of them, maybe you haven't. WannaCry was one of those ones that really brought, malware, ransomware into the public light, when all of a sudden that became the new catchphrase of the day. Turning on the news, malware, ransomware, WannaCry. While a devastating attack, as you can see, over 200,000 computers were affected by that. It did benefit in the fact of turning on that global spotlight. All of a sudden, people realized, oh, hey, this is something we got to pay attention to. Not perfect, but at least it was a step in the right direction. So next, if you look at NotPetya, ransomware, encryptor, and wiper. Those have become really popular these days. I was just reading an article a couple of days ago. It was a hospital in New Jersey got hit with a similar situation. They were locked out of all of their records, all of their files. And for the medical industry, that poses a problem. So what happens? They said, oh, forget it. We're just going to pay the ransom. Luckily, that person was asking for not very much money. I think it was about $25,000 in Monero at the time. But NotPetya, for example, it claims the title of the most costly attack. And if you look at the different sources that are available on the internet, it's an estimated 4 to 10 billion US dollars in damages. So just kind of let that sink in real quick on, again, not necessarily just the business scale. Businesses, they're going to be used to that. What about the individuals? Maybe somebody working from home or something like that locks out their computer and they're stuck for a week. They're not getting paid. It's truly important to kind of keep all of that in perspective, right? So if we move on, you got Stuxnet, huge famous attack. Everybody in the industry was kind of keeping their eye on this one, and it's important to highlight if you look at the different industries, where I'm hoping we can talk about that during Q&A a little bit. Cybersecurity is not just one giant umbrella, right? You're going to have multiple like subsets. Healthcare is a good one. Stuxnet focused on industrial control systems. Most people don't even think about, it's commonly known as an ICS, in regards to their day-to-day activity. But those are the things that are running your power, your water, the natural gas coming to feed your home. All of that kind of ties in there. And the worst part about ICS systems, if you do a little research, you'll sit there and see that they are probably the most dilapidated and antiquated systems that still exist in the modern market right now. That's why they're also a very, very big target for the cybercrime industry. So Dark Hotel, that was kind of like, I like to call it a cute one. It was, the people that got hit with it didn't think it was so cute, but it was a covert spyware, right? So if you're ever going around, maybe you go down to Starbucks, have yourself a coffee, and try and relax from the day a little bit. You're connecting to an open Wi-Fi. That's the worst part, is any kind of public or open Wi-Fi leaves an attack vector wide open. Even if it's one of those things, maybe you sit there and say your hotel, maybe you stayed at the Ramada. They sat there and, oh, here's your guest username and password. It's the same password. So I always sit there and recommend that people pay attention to things. Any kind of open or public hotspots, avoid them. If you can't, use yourself a VPN, virtual private network, which is something we could talk a little bit more about later. And lastly, you have Moral. This was the largest botnet. Yeah, largest botnet to date. And really, when it kind of took over, it was being done by the masterminds that created it. They were just testing its capabilities. They weren't even necessarily trying to do something malicious at that point in time. It was more of a test. If it had been a malicious act, I could scarcely imagine the damage level that would have caused. But you had millions of IoT-based devices, Internet of Things. So everything now that can have an IP address, your refrigerator, your television, your car, that's what it was affecting. So it caused a giant DDoS attack. Nobody could access anything. It was chaos and panic. It's all of these things put together. Like if you look at each one of those separately, it's a big issue, right? When you combine it all into one big scoop, you sit there and see how critical cybersecurity really is, and what needs to be done, what needs to be looked at and examined. Because in today's day and age, with a well-coordinated attack, if you were to take out multiple different portions, everything would basically stop. You'd have chaos and anarchy. So this is what I like to call the cost of being too late. And if you guys could just kind of take a look at the slide real quick and what's going on. Again, most of this part over here on the left is going to be geared towards your business-based customers. But then you also have your individual losses and damages. A business can suffer an absolutely irrecoverable reputational loss from a severe cyber attack. You have all of the management time going in there trying to, disaster recovery and pull everything back together. Your customers, if you look at that same aspect there, if they just had all of their data leaked or just lost their money or couldn't access their health records, do you think they're going to be your customers any longer? Then you have other things, cleanup costs, like how much it takes to sit there and repair that damage. Again, on a business and an individual level. If you get hit as an individual, say with some identity theft, the amount of money it's going to cost you to get out from under that is incalculable. Personally, I've had attempts at identity theft 3 different times in probably the last 15 years. And early on, it was my own fault. I didn't sit there and I didn't know what to do or how to do it. But as things progressed, I started doing things, locking down, freezing all of my credit reports, using different email addresses for different sensitivity of things, never using the same password, using strong passwords, all of that kind of stuff. 2-factor authentication, not the SMS version. That's a little that's a freebie point in there for everybody. Use an authenticator app or a token. So now, based on when we're doing our introductions, this was another one I heard, so I like this part. This slide speaks for itself. Now, keep in mind, the numbers that you're seeing in front of you are based on 2019 statistics in regards to the shortage of cyber professionals. You sit there and think, oh, it's 2021, more people have been interested. Those numbers have got to be decreasing, right? No, it's the exact opposite. The demand has increased exponentially to the point where now we cannot keep up with getting enough cyber qualified people in the field. So these numbers that you're seeing here across the globe, they've only grown. They haven't shrunk at all. So it gives you a good opportunity, right? For anybody that's investigating getting into the field. I heard one statement out there talking about like how it's changed, how it's grown, how it's complicated. Well, in a way, I actually think things have gotten easier for people to break into the field. Now, with all of the resources that you're going to have at your disposal between, training opportunities like SkillSpire, different industry-based certifications, internet research, you have a wealth of knowledge at your fingertips. And all you have to do, you just absorb it like a sponge, kind of take it all in. And you'll find your niche, what you like and what you don't. And as that grows, that can help define your career.
So Troy, I just wanted to mention one quick thing. Oh, by the way, when you pulled up that slide, I saw Esteban going like this, so I think he really liked that slide. So you mentioned about the two-factor authentication. You said not to use the cell phone. Why exactly?
So there's a process out there, and it's gotten more popular in recent years. So I recently, again, I mentioned coming back from overseas, Simjacking has become something absolutely massive. And it also has to do with one of my other passions. Cybersecurity is probably my life's blood, but one of my other passions is blockchain. I love the technology. I love what I think it can do for the world. Simjacking has become very popular with that because a lot of people are using two-factor authentication on their accounts that ties into an SMS phone number. I believe it was about 2 years ago. I can't remember who, what, when, where, why. It was, I believe, an executive for a cryptocurrency exchange. Basically, what happened is there was an insider threat. I believe it was AT&T. They issued a SIM card to their buddy. They used that to basically break into the guy's accounts. Once they had a duplicate SIM card with his information, they could just try those accounts. Once the message came through for the number, it's an easy day. That's also a more complicated way of going about it. That's assuming that there's an insider threat. There are a lot of unique ways to where you could sit there and like clone a SIM card, for example. Maybe you're out sitting there, again, like let's use having lunch, talking with some friends, right? Somebody walks by, scoops your phone. It takes them about 3.5 to 5 minutes to clone your SIM card. And then they just simply walk back up. Oh, excuse me, I believe you dropped your phone. It's so easy and so quick. And most people will sit there and laugh when I bring up these little stories about, oh, that could never happen. They're actually real examples. They've happened to people more times than not. Everybody sits there and thinks that, oh yeah, no, I could recognize that or I'll be able to beat that. It's so quick and so efficient these days. The criminals have actually turned it into an art form. When you watch the way that they go about it, it's a good example. The country of Romania. Not a lot of people are very familiar with it. One thing I can sit there and say, according to the 2020 statistics, is Romania was number 3 in the world for hacking, number 1 in the world for carding. And if you're familiar, carding is the process of fraudulently using or duplicating credit cards or debit cards. Very, very easy process. So that's where it all ties into that SMS. If you sit there and use something like an authenticator app and strong passwords, it prevents them from getting to that. So if you have the authenticator app, they may have your phone, but they're not going to be able to get into the app. If you have it via SMS, it creates an additional attack vector. And actually, it's funny. I just kind of wanted to touch on this one. You mentioned that someone made the money finger sign. That is actually a great point, and we can all sit there and have a good chuckle about it, but it's the truth. You know, cybersecurity professionals are in such a space of demand right now. The starting level salaries are absolutely ridiculous. When my first real IT level job where I was, you know, suit and tie kind of thing every day, I was getting paid $40,000 a year. And at the time, for me, that was great. That was more money than I ever made in my life. I was like, woohoo, congratulations. But now, I mean, I'm seeing entry level cyber people, right? They may not have any experience, but they've gone through, they've studied, they've practiced, they know the craft, and they're getting their foot in the door at numbers significantly higher than that. I had a friend of mine in Virginia that got an entry level cyber analyst position. I think he had Security Plus and CEH, and they were paying him, I believe it was $95,000 to start. So that's just the tip of the iceberg. The more you know, the more you do, the more you learn, and then the more experience you get with that, those numbers are going to go up and up and up. And these companies, they need people like you, people that want to be in there to do the work, to make a difference. And trust me, they're going to pay you for it.
So Troy, a lot of these companies, are they looking for like people who for remote positions as well, for who people who want like the flexibility? Is kind of like the new norm.
Actually, and yeah, so I won't get too much into the political, moral, or philosophical areas of what's going on right now, like with COVID-19 and things like that. But let's go ahead and get into the business side of it. And albeit this pandemic has been absolutely devastating, for people in IT, it has created a newfound realm of opportunity. Before, things were very cut and dry. You know, you were doing your 8 to 4, your 9 to 5, you know, having a commute for half an hour and things like that. Now, with the pandemic and the shift of, you know, your modus operandi, right? Remote is the new standard. You're talking one of those things, you're working from home most of the week. Maybe you're going into the office 2 or 3 days. There's significant amounts, of remote-based positions, and it's 100% remote. No travel. You're sitting from home. You know, the company sends you a laptop. Like, I'm a person, I carry multiple positions, right? I like to work. I like what I do. Therefore, companies are willing to pay me to do it. And so they'll send you equipment, and you know, it's also not as rigid as it used to be. How I was talking about that 8 to 4, 9 to 5 thing. Now with remote-based work, they're looking at more the end result. Can we get the job done? So maybe you have, like, let's say you have a family, for example, and maybe you got to, you know, getting your kids set and off to school in the morning, and then you have a few things to do. So maybe you really couldn't start working till 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. Remote-based positions typically offer that kind of flexibility. They don't care what time you start, what time you finish. Usually the most they're going to sit there and have is like, okay, here's your tasks for the week. Get them done however you see fit. Or if they're going to be a little more strict, they'll sit there and say, okay, if you're working a full-time position, you need to do 40 hours of clocked work time during that week. They don't care. Maybe you're a night owl, right? And you're doing all this stuff during the day and, you know, hanging out with friends or whatever. And then you like to get busy about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, okay, yeah, then you'll be working till, you know, 10, 11 o'clock at night, but you're still good. It gives you that flexibility. And now there's no difference in pay scale. It used to be like the few remote-based positions that they used to have usually came at the price of paying you less. Now it pays you equivalent or more. So what we were having here on the last slide, this is kind of like my little motivational speech, right? Where I want to tell everybody that's interested in whatever aspect, and I really hope we can, kick off some good Q&A here, because some points were brought up in the introduction that I would love to talk about in regards to the different industries or pay bands, things like that. The only thing that's truly important is that you have the willingness and the desire to learn, to develop, to grow, to advance that skill set to achieve as a cybersecurity professional. Someone brought up some time frames, right? Absolutely correct. It does not take long to get yourself from 0 to 60. Back when I really started full time in the industry, I started out doing, systems and network technician, right? Learning Active Directory and OSPF and all that good stuff. Back then, you really had to take your time and advance and, move through the ranks. Now there's not that same kind of stringent requirement. You can sit there, and if you're good at, say, blue teaming, for example, playing that cyber defender, you just find that's where your skill set lies. You can be, I'd say an intermediate level position in nothing flat a year's time. Usually for senior, they still want you to have a little bit more time in service there, but you can get there quickly and efficiently. And this is where I'll put in this last little pitch in regards to the upcoming cohort, right? It's being designed. I'm coming in as the instructor, right? And the entire team over there at SkillSpire has did an absolutely fantastic job of designing this course for efficiency and to give you as much knowledge as possible in a short period of time. So that's why I really hope that people have enjoyed what we've talked about here. I'd like to go over some Q&A. Any questions you have about the industry, about the course, just let me know, and that's what I'm here for.
Hey Troy, thank you so much for being available for us this morning and helping us all kind of a view into cybersecurity. One of, I guess, my out. I'm not gonna say a fear, but just a concern, I guess. You kind of brought up for a while there the getting into the industry, that it's easier now because they're needed and everything. I have Security Plus, and I've had to use that certification in my communication security in the Army, but I guess I'm not sure where I would fit in a company. Like, would it be more entry level because I've only used it to do, like I said, communication security with like crypto and
Yep.
small networking and things like that. Like, how do you think I would fit in a company?
It's an absolutely great question. So it all depends on the route that you want to take. How long were you in the military for?
10 years.
10 years. Okay. And you said you're getting ready to get out?
Yes.
Okay. So what you've got right there, and this is I've hired people like you before countless times. It's you've got 10 years of solid experience right there. If you're dealing with IT and you're in the military, you've got your hands in multiple pots. So the fact you have Security Plus there is just an added benefit to it. The more you know, the more you learn, the more you have like certificates of accomplishment. Hey, I completed this course, or hey, I did this cert. Those are just little feathers in your cap. As far as the market goes for availability, really, you've got two different areas to look at, and this is what I recommend to people: is you have private enterprise, like businesses like Google, Amazon, any number that you can make, anybody hiring for a cybersecurity analyst or so on and so forth. There's also federal contracting. Um, for you, I'd recommend you going down that route. You know, brushing up your skills a little bit, making sure that you feel good, feel comfortable. I'd sit there and say, depending on the area you live in, you'd have absolutely no problem getting in as an entry or maybe even a mid-level.
Okay. Um, I also wanted to ask about the courses coming up. Are there different courses? Is it one basically in one? Is it just one course that we all get into and kind of train up on different skills, or is it more focused on different classes leading up to different certifications?
So as far as we've got the curriculum set up for the cybersecurity course, and overall, like I'm very pleased with what I've seen. Is it's really taking you from what I call zero to hero, right? It's designed for people that sit there and have really no idea. Okay, you don't need to know anything coming into this course,
Okay.
and it covers such a broad spectrum of topics, but at the same time, it gives you that level of that granular look into everything, to where not only you'll sit there and you'll get exposure to the different aspects, but it'll also help you decide, like, oh, hey, I really like pen testing, I want to explore this more, or oh, I'm a policy and procedure kind of person, I want to, study different frameworks. It's really, that's what it's geared for, is to get you into that.
Okay, that's really awesome. Because like I've kind of said, I've only been exposed to so much of cybersecurity, but I really know that it's what I want to do. So it'd be nice to be exposed to different, even more aspects of it to see if there's something I'd like more. So I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Anytime, glad to help.
I just wanted to include one point, not necessarily a question, but maybe Troy, you can kind of expound on this point. But as we were kind of building the cybersecurity curriculum, it was a long process. But Yasmin, who's the CEO, she was really kind of mentioning to me every day. She was like, I've run this curriculum across so many cybersecurity professionals, and they're all like just really like amazed at how just how robust and how in depth and how thorough this curriculum really is. Like I know that it's easy for us as skills providers to sit here and say that, but genuinely mean that, like, this curriculum. I mean, I'm sure Troy can speak to it because he's obviously looked through it, but it's really, I really feel like it's next level.
That you bring up a great point. So I'll sit there, and I like being open and honest. I'm very candid. Uh, when I was getting ready, so I've been with SkillSpire since July is when I picked up. And I knew I wanted to have a part-time cybersecurity instructor position. That's something I wanted to do because I want to help foster learning and drive and passion for the area that I hold so dear. It was really the company and the team that brought me to SkillSpire, right? I literally had the SkillSpire interview and an interview before that. It was for a different company that shall remain nameless, and they wanted me to teach their boot camp. And it really felt, I didn't get the same warm and fuzzy, right? It felt more kind of like a cash grab. That's just kind of how I felt about it. But then when I came on board with y'all and I saw how deep the curriculum went and how many different areas of coverage and how much passion the CEO has for ensuring that this program is good and successful. I mean, the various companies being worked with to establish the most comprehensive and in-depth curriculum, for me, that's just something amazing, and I'm really honored to be teaching this course.
So, sorry, Joseph. We'll get to your question in just a second. I know Sman had asked a question in the chat. He says, so does this mean that the course is like and then we decide whether we branch out as pen tests, etc.?
I'd say what it does is it's going to give you a good familiarity with a wide variety of topics. And then, of course, like anything else in cybersecurity, if you want, you can be a generalist and you can just keep digging and looking at everything. I'm a person, for example, I've done some more specializations. So I not only have that generalist view, but I'm very good at pen testing and things like that. I'm very good at, blue team, red team, purple team exercises. It's all about what you want to do and what you like. So, for example, coding has never really been my thing. I do a little bit of Python, some HTML, some CSS, that kind of stuff, but sometimes it just makes my mind go wonky. Doesn't compute that well. But that doesn't mean that I'm not good in cybersecurity. Or maybe you find policies and procedures dull. So that'll be like, okay, frameworks aren't going to be your thing. There's a lot of opportunities to really tailor your experience, I guess is a good way to put it. And what this course is going to do is it's going to give you exposure across the whole gambit, basically what you need to start your career. And then from there, it'll be up to, your individual taste to expand on your career.
So Joseph, sorry, Spawn, we'll get back to your question in just a second. I know, Joseph, you were raising your hand. Do you have a question you want to ask?
Yes, I do. So I'm trying to create I guess, a website or social media platform, and so I have a team of me, some computer science students, and one IT student who specializes in cybersecurity. And the problem that I'm encountered is I'm not exactly sure. Like, it's probably good to improve our security, but I'm not exactly sure what to ask him to do because I'm not. So, my initial reaction was when I brought him onto the team was he does web dev tasks along with us, and so he can get familiar with our code and help us I guess patch any security holes. But this guy is not as good at with that code and doesn't really want to help with the web dev tasks. But he does help us with improve our documentation on the website. But like, I guess my question is, what should I'm not exactly sure what to ask him or to do to, I guess, most effectively use his skills.
So it really depends on what his specialization is, right? So just hearing the basics of what you're describing there, I can understand because I was in a similar situation. I have a company that develops blockchain-based software. I've been working that for years. It was a learning process, right? So it sounds like what you'd be really looking for is an application security engineer, somebody that's familiar with the SDLC and how to incorporate that as you're building out your software. Because that's one of the problems if you're not incorporating the security aspects early on in the design and development and testing of your software. By the time you get production ready, then you're going to be in a whole world of hurt. Things at that point are very costly to implement. So it's better to take the time and do it early on, build from that point and move it on. So I guess in answer to your question, what I would recommend is see where your cybersecurity guys' strengths are and work with that. I mean, if he's not, a developer, then doing those, application security facets are going to be very difficult. Where other aspects, in regards to privacy and information protection and how that's going to work, like crafting those overarching policies, that's something it sounds like he could do. But based on what you're telling me, it sounds like the hand jamming probably won't be his forte.
Okay, thank you. Like he just seems to think that running our code through some software that just detects whether or not there's XSS possibilities of cross-site scripting or SQL injection is enough. But like, is it enough, or do I need a specialist?
So this is what I'd sit there and recommend. And again, this isn't. I won't say it's concrete advice. I need to look at your stuff more in depth to know. But my life would have been a lot easier if I could have just used a piece of software and that solved all my problems. Nothing's ever that simple, especially if you're looking, I believe you said, what, a social media platform?
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to be dealing with a lot of personal and sensitive information, right? Once you get to the production level, that can be something that can come back and end your company in about half a second if you have a significant data breach or something like that. So yes, the automated processes are very useful. Would I ever turn them down? No. But you're gonna need to go in depth. You're gonna need to go granular. You wanna have somebody that specializes in like security code take a look at that, because they're gonna sit there and say, oh, okay, we can get an injection attack right here. Let's remove that.
Okay, thank you very much.
Anytime.
So I know Sman had asked a question. He said, I have a digital forensics certificate and I'm interested in that area. Will this course help me?
So yeah, you're going to get exposure to forensics and malware and things like that. I mean, the syllabus that goes into there, it depends on how in-depth your digital forensics certificate went. What programs you're familiar with, like Encase, things like that. Forensics, for me, like that was a very tough, when I started learning about it, for me, that was very, very difficult. Debugging and, memory analysis and, reconstruction. That's very high level material. So yeah, you'll get some exposure to it without a doubt. Like I said, it just depends on how in depth you want to go. If you know that you want to be a digital forensics analyst, I'm definitely going to give you a high five. That's a very impressive goal, and we'd be glad to help you reach that.
Okay. Roa, go ahead.
Hey Troy, thank you so much for the info so far. It's been definitely very helpful for me. I guess my question would be, any advice for someone with no like IT background whatsoever, thinking about breaking into this field? And then what is the likelihood of actually getting a like entry level job after completing a course like this?
So that is an absolutely fantastic question, and thank you for asking it. So during the course of the presentation, I reference things, how things used to be and how things are. And that's very important. And I'd like everybody to take that into consideration. Even I'll say 10 to 15 years ago, it was not a simple process to break into the industry. My first tech job was Best Buy. I worked at Geek Squad because at the time, I was out of college. I had all these degrees, all this good stuff, and nobody would hire me. And then it just kind of grew and expanded. And now, because of the way the technology has evolved, the shortage of personnel, it's a lot easier for you to get your foot in the door. So, if you don't have a lot of tech experience, that's fine, because guess what? It will come. It will come with time. You build that foundational knowledge through courses like this, through other certifications, and that's going to give you that base. It'll give you the footing that you need. And I mean, I'd say in the last 5 years, I can say I've easily hired a dozen people that were breaking in, and they were just they had the knowledge. They may not have had the experience, but they wanted to get their feet wet, and they had that desire and drive and passion. So I think you will get out of it as much as you put into it. So if you're determined and dedicated, you'll learn. And then you'll also come across things where, okay, maybe you're not too familiar with, Active Directory and things like that. So you'll start digging a little more. You'll start researching. I don't think it's a hard process at all. I mean, to be honest, I'm very envious of people looking to break into the field these days, because you have so much more opportunity and availability, and all you got to do is get in there, and if you want to do it, you'll do it. And all of us, at Skillspire, we're willing to help you achieve those goals.
So Troy, I wanted to ask you one question that kind of relates to what you just mentioned. So you talked about, you had mentioned one point about how, coding is not really your forte. And, at Skillspire, majority of our courses, have to do with coding, full stack, software engineering, Java, C#.
Yep.
And, some of the people here might be contemplating maybe going back and forth between, should I go into, cybersecurity? Should I go into data analytics, front end, back end? Is there a way for people to kind of maybe categorize or classify themselves as being better suited for one or the other? Is there a way for people to know whether, maybe I don't like coding, maybe cybersecurity might be for me, or maybe it's the other way around, or maybe I tried data analytics, it wasn't for me, cybersecurity, know what would be a good fit for this going into it.
So it's what I like to tell everybody, as I've been helping people throughout the years kind of start and grow their careers, is you can't be afraid to try. If something sparks your interest, get in there and hack at it and see. You'll know fairly early on if it's going to be for you or not. Goodness gracious. So probably about 8-9 years ago, I was doing an online, I believe it was a Java programming course. And at first I was doing great. And then it just got to the point where I'm like, yeah, this isn't for me. So I looked at other different things. I sit there and say, if you have an interest in something, if it's peaked, like, maybe you're interested in full stack, and, give it a shot. See, the only thing that's going to happen is regardless, you're going to learn more. You're going to have more. How I was talking about that digital battlefield, the digital war zone, right? It's going to give you more tools at your disposal. So it might not be, maybe you don't want to program day to day, but maybe you pick up some skills during that course that, oh, cybersecurity is my thing. Oh, I remember I learned how to write this script when I was taking that programming course. I can do this. Or, oh yeah, I learned how to inspect the source during, my full stack training. Everything will help you. And as you progress through it, you'll find out where your forte is.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. It doesn't hurt to try. And I think with the amount of resources that are online these days, I'm sure there are plenty of tools and kind of maybe free programs out there where you can just kind of whet your wet your feet and see, how you might like, whether it's cybersecurity or full stack. Just give it a taste, and before you go all in, feel free to try out some free courses and some free tools and things like that.
Yeah, the tools at your disposal are key. And in today's information age, I can't tell you one thing I like to, because I know everybody's talking about career and breaking in. So let me give everybody a nickel's worth of free interview advice right now. Okay. Never be afraid to sit there and say, I don't know. I would give people more credit during an interview for saying, I don't know, than if they try and give me a baloney answer. Another thing that's perfectly acceptable is with how deep tech has gotten so quick, it is impossible for everybody to know everything. I don't care if you're the CEO of Google, I guarantee you he doesn't know everything. And so for somebody to sit there and say, like if you were to ask, oh, well, what port does World of Warcraft run on? Okay, I don't know that off the top of my head. So I'm going to hop online and I'm going to find it. That is a perfectly acceptable answer. Granted for like entry level positions, they're going to ask more of the, meat and potatoes, like, oh, what port does HTTP run on? Oh, okay, that's port 80. Little things like that. But as you progress, you're almost going to forget more than you know. It's hilarious. So never be afraid to sit there and say, I'm not sure about that answer, but let me find out.
Yeah, it's actually funny, Troy, that you just mentioned that, because I was actually, someone was speaking to me a few weeks back. I think they're like a project manager at USAA, and they were telling me that apparently USAA has some pretty tough technical interviews, and they were telling me that between the interview, he's a bit older, and so he was a bit out of sync with what he had learned, maybe 20 years, decades back, and he was just kind of lost on some of the questions, and he was just like, I don't know, and he was just telling me that it's a lot better to say I don't know than it is to exactly what you said, just make up some random answer that just has no basis whatsoever. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to do that for every single question if you just said I don't know, because then you really don't know. But that's what he was telling me. So I thought that was kind of interesting that you just mentioned that.
I've had situations I can't tell you, much earlier on in my career, it was, I still get bad test anxiety, for goodness sake. And, I'd be in an interview and, they'd start blasting questions at me. And there were some things, it's like I knew the answer, but your brain just, sometimes you get under stress and you just forget things. It can be something you know very well. It's just about, patient, calm. A lot of the interview process, especially in the field of cyber these days, is they don't necessarily care as much if you know the answer. They want to see how you respond and react to the question. You're most welcome. I hope you have a great day and look forward to talking to you. Does anybody else have some questions? I know there was some great parts in the introduction. And you'll have to forgive me, I can't remember who said it. In regards to the healthcare industry. I can't remember who it was. I'm sorry. Well, so I'll just kind of field it out there in case you're still listening. There's different aspects of cyber, right? There's the financial industry, there's the banking industry, there's the government sector, there's industrial control systems, gas power, there's telecommunications. So how I was talking about, there's the big cyber umbrella, and then you got a bunch of little pockets underneath of it. So it's one of those things. Cyber right now in the healthcare industry is absolutely massive. There's so much opportunity there right now. Goodness, last month I was hit up by 2 different hospitals in California. They wanted me to do their cybersecurity architecture just because they know what's going on. They see the music, so they just need to get it squared away.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious. Is everyone here kind of, maybe with the exception of Joseph, is everyone kind of trying to transition from one career path into cybersecurity? Or are you starting out fresh, like straight out of college, straight out of high school? I know Sman had mentioned that he's actually working as a developer. Um, I know you mentioned, I think you said Java and C#, I think you're proficient with them. Okay. Yeah. So he says he works as a developer. He's been working with Java and C# for the last 12 years. So that's cool. Cool. So does anyone else have any other questions? Anything at all?
More than willing to entertain any kind of questions, anything about the industry, about the job market.
What about technical questions?
Well, let's see what I can do for you.
So I've been playing around with Wireshark, and all the packets I see are just the ones that come to my laptop. How do I put it into promiscuous mode? I've been searching around and not sure what I'm doing.
Gotcha. So that depends on the wireless card that you have installed in your machine.
Okay.
Some will not allow you to do that. Usually
no.
what I do, pardon?
Oh no.
Yeah, so usually what I recommend is like when you're playing around with Wireshark like that, also for other things like Nmap and Aircrack NG, those are some more advanced programs.
Yeah, I played around with Nmap. I was gonna mess around with Aircraft NG, just haven't gotten there yet.
I'll put it this way, it's a lot of fun. So what I'd recommend is if you hop onto Amazon, I could probably find it for you and link it in the chat. You'd be looking for an external wireless card. It's from a company called Alpha Networks, ALFA.
Okay.
And that is pretty much what all of us in the offensive industry use when it comes to wireless.
Awesome. If you could send that to me. So yeah, I do have. So I've been doing it on my Mac, but I do have a Windows, and then I also have a Linux-based machine, which I haven't messed around with to see what the differences are there.
Yeah, Linux will, especially if you're interested in the offensive side of the house, Linux will rapidly become your best friend.
Yeah, I've done a little bit, but it's been a long time ago. So yeah, the Linux is probably better of the choices.
Well, and if you're running a Mac, you can also do a lot of cool things because, Mac is built on a Unix kernel. So what you can sit there and do is certain things like actually like a full version of Metasploit can be installed via command line on a Mac. So
cool. Because I better add that. I just got a new Mac because this old one is kind of like fading. So I'll add that to the new one.
Yeah, it's now when you're doing your install, all I can say is go slow and steady. When I
Yeah.
had this person where it wanted me to add like I believe it was like a Rust library, and Lord, that took forever.
So I'm having problems trying to get Kali Linux on my Mac using VirtualBox, just giving me this dumb error. It's like, oh.
So yeah, usually when I was running all of that, I was using VMware Workstation. I do
Okay.
have VirtualBox tossed on a different machine. Sometimes it'll give you errors when you're going through. Usually that error, so again, I like saying nickel's worth of free advice, is if you take a look, it depends on the image that you may have downloaded. Sometimes.
So I was thinking it was be an ISO AMD. Is that correct? Or because I don't have an M1, I have the older one.
Okay, yeah, good. That M1 I still haven't figured
Yeah,
out.
I did not want to go M1.
Yeah. What I would probably look at is, if I recall, they should have a VirtualBox VM that you can download straight off the site.
Okay. So if you could please put that Amazon link in the chat, I'd appreciate it.
No
It would
problem.
help me a lot.
And 1 second, and I will have that ready for you. All right. I believe that this one will do the trick for you.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem. I've got the older version. The older one's silver, and that's I still like use a couple of those, but that should do the trick.
Sorry, Lynn, didn't mean to call you, but you mentioned that you came to one of our past workshops. Do you remember which one?
It was another cybersecurity one, but I wanted to go to the web one is coming up. I'll go to that one again.
Okay. Oh, so you attended last
So I
session.
have talked to Yasmin, and I've been thinking about the full stack one, but I was kind of more of a back end person, so I like that, but I also want to get more into front end, so I don't want to be stuck in just one little category. I guess I'm sort of like a generalist.
Okay. Okay. Do you know which way you're kind of leaning towards?
Well, the C sharp one's not open, so I probably have to start with the front end and then work my way back to the back end again. Because that's the thing that seems to change the most is the front end, but I don't want to get stuck doing just total front end either. So I mean, it's too many fun things in security. Even with cybersecurity, there's so much fun stuff. It's hard to want to play in one lane.
Cool, cool. So anyone else have any other questions? Okay, so I think someone's typing in the chat. Thanks for this.
Most welcome. Hope it inspired some thought and some good direction and determination for y'all.
Monte, thank you so much. This is awesome.
Most welcome. I love seeing that people have interest and passion and that drive and excitement. And I certainly hope to see y'all as future cyber professionals. So.
Awesome. So if anyone has any other last questions, feel free. If not, we thank you very much for joining us, especially on a Saturday afternoon, for taking the time out to attend this event and discuss with us and learn with Troy. I know I learned as well because I'm not a tech person either. And it was a great event. We'll keep you in the loop regarding future events as well. If you're not currently on our email list, feel free to enter your email to the chat. We'll add you to our newsletter and keep you up to date on future events and scholarships for courses, various courses, offers, informative content, blog posts, videos, all kinds of different pieces of content to provide you guys. And other than that, thank you all very much for joining us today. If you have any last minute questions, like I mentioned, feel free to enter it in the chat or you can unmute and ask. But if that's it for all the questions, then that's pretty much it for us. Thank you very much, Troy, for joining us. This is actually the first event that I've ever hosted with Troy, so it's as new to me as it is to you guys. So thank you very much, Troy, for the very in-depth and thorough presentation. And I hope you all have an excellent weekend. If any of you want to reach out to me at any point in time, I'm putting my email into the chat right now. And I'm also putting in the SkillSpire main phone number. And you can call us or text us at this number, and we'll respond as quickly as we can. Also put in Yasmin's email. Yasmin's the CEO, and she actually speaks with each of the students on a one-on-one personal basis most of the time. So you can always feel free to reach out to her as well. I put in all the social media links: Facebook, LinkedIn, Google My Business, Pinterest, Twitter, Instagram. Feel free to follow us. That's it for me, guys. Thank you very much again, and I hope you all have a fantastic weekend.
Take care, everyone. Thanks again.